A new Texas law is boosting businesses that help patients seeking medical marijuana.
We knew that Texas, being as large as Texas is, with 30 million people here, represented a significant potential medical market.
As demand grows, we look at the impact of changes to the state's compassionate use program and how it's affecting people seeking treatment. A West Texas mountain could play an important role in our country's national security. Why what's hidden beneath the surface could hold the key to everything from smartphones to fighter jets.
She really symbolizes, I think, all the children who've died from this disease and also the cause that the survivors are fighting for.
From heartache to hope, how a girl's battle with cancer is inspiring action on Capitol Hill, fueling legislation that could save young lives.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dylan McKim, in for Josh Hinkle. The state's medical marijuana program is growing its number of patients. In November, that number was around 130,000, and more are expected to join after sweeping changes at the state capitol. Medical marijuana producers are starting to change to meet that demand. Earlier this month, one of those companies licensed to sell medical marijuana opened its first retail shop. That company, Good Blend, opened its doors in the San Antonio area. I went there to see how they aim to make a difference for patients. It's the next step for medical marijuana in Texas, a retail shop where patients can walk in, speak to an associate about the different products, and walk out, medicine in hand. That's exactly what Alicia Ward did Tuesday. She's been a patient in the state's compassionate use program for years.
To be able to come to even just one specific building in one specific location is great, and it's so much more convenient.
A year ago, War had to call a couple of days ahead to get a prescription filled, and depending on the day, she would have to go to different pickup locations to get her medicine. That's because state law did not allow companies like Good Blend to store their product overnight at the pickup locations. They had to store everything at their main location. For Good Blend, that was in Austin.
Any patient that didn't make it in for whatever reason, because life happens, we'd have to drive that bag all the way back up at the end of the day. So there was just so much movement.
They'd be like, you can pick up same day if you come to Austin. I was like, yeah, I don't have 17 hours to drive there because the traffic is so bad.
But a new law passed this year in Texas changes that. Good Blend can now store their products in their San Antonio shop inside this vault. It's equipped with a steel cage and security cameras. This cuts down on wait times for patients. That's important because the number of patients is likely to grow after lawmakers also expanded the eligibility for medical marijuana to people with chronic pain. It's the reason why another licensed company, Texas Original, opened a new 75,000 square foot facility in Bastrop, a 4-year project that places their entire complex operation under one roof.
We were confident with the size of Texas and where the rest of the country was in terms of having medical cannabis accessible to patients in need, that the Texas program was going to dramatically grow over time.
When the facility is at full capacity, it will be able to serve about 100,000 patients. Currently, there are only 3 companies licensed to sell medical marijuana in Texas. DPS is vetting 9 other companies. Well, expansion of the medical marijuana program comes as the state is putting new restrictions on products containing hemp-derived THC. Earlier this month, the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission heard public comment on proposed rules to prevent people under the age of 21 from buying those products. But there's also a looming change on the federal level to ban those products altogether. Capitol correspondent Adam Schwager takes a closer look.
The Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission listening to arguments for and against their proposed THC age restrictions.
Thank you for those comments. They've been noted.
Their proposals would replace the current emergency rules and either suspend or revoke licenses for retailers who sell consumable hemp to someone under 21 and require age verification for all customers under the age of 40. Some groups argue those measures aren't enough.
The age gate really should be age 25, not 21, because that aligns with brain development.
These new rules come at a time of uncertainty for the industry, as the United States Congress decided to ban consumable hemp in their bill to reopen the government. However, with the change not official until next November, hemp shop owners are operating as usual.
It's widely seen within the industry, with the people that I work with, within our executive staff, that This federal ban is really more of a negotiating tactic.
Nicholas Mortellaro operates a series of hemp stores in central Texas. He says he'd be concerned about the federal change to hemp if it's still in effect this February. That's when Congress will have to pass another continuing resolution to keep the government open.
And if they don't pass a full farm bill by the 31st, or that ban is still in place, we miss a big, big opportunity to get some more reasonable regulation and a more comprehensive regulatory bill across the finish line.
If hemp is once again legalized at the national level, the debate would go back to the Texas legislature, which passed a ban earlier this year, which Governor Greg Abbott later vetoed. The driving force behind that ban, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, showed no signs of stopping his crusade against the subject.
The governor and I will work through this. We'll figure this out, but we've been very clear where we are, and we'll figure it all out.
For State of Texas, I'm Adam Schwager.
From your phone to military missiles, rare earth minerals make it all possible. The U.S. depends on countries like China to get those elements, but find out how a mountain in West Texas could change the game for America's technology and defense.
It's really rare up here to be able to pass a bill that saves kids' lives, and this is one of them.
In a divided Congress, one bill brings both sides together. How the story of a girl's fight against cancer could bring changes to help other kids fighting the disease. A mountain in West Texas could play a key role in helping the United States get more access to rare earth minerals. Those minerals are used in everything from smartphones and medical devices to building missiles and fighter jets. This comes as the Trump administration is working to end the United States' reliance on countries like China for rare earth minerals. That has some businesses and government leaders looking to Round Top Mountain, which is just southeast of El Paso in Hudspeth County near the Texas-Mexico border. News Nation's Allie Bradley explains how mining there could make a major difference.
Yeah, so this looks like a rock, but you're actually looking at rare earth minerals taken from one of the most unique deposits here in the United States, which could be the answer to the Trump administration's push to becoming mineral independent. And it's right here in West Texas. Buckets as far as the eye can see, filled with rare earth minerals.
Round Top is, again, it's very unique because we have a lot of the heavies.
15 of 17, right?
We do have all of them, but the ones we're really chasing are the ones we call the heavy rare earth elements.
Okay.
Dysprosium and terbium are the two big ones.
And while the Trump administration just formed a coalition with several countries, including Japan and Israel, the president has made it a priority to make the United States mineral independent.
So these magnets go in a lot of actuators, a lot of motors, in particular guided missile systems. They have little motors that steer them. So if all of a sudden the magnet that's steering your guided missile demagnetizes, you no longer have control of where your missile is going to go.
What we're looking at here is a small-scale mining operation. It's on a mountain near Round Top. They're also digging for rhyolite, and we can expect to see similar operations at Round Top in 2028. All right, Commissioner, what are we doing out here?
Well, we're out here in West Texas at Round Top Mountain talking about rare earth minerals.
Round Top, the most unique site in the United States, as it's essentially the hub playing host to 17 rare earth minerals that are critical when it comes to getting out from under China in the magnet and chips game.
China has a corner on this market. We think this is the only and largest complete set of rare earth minerals not under China's control in the world, and these are important for our jets to fly. It's national security, it's everyday convenience. It's taking away this economic ploy from China.
And the land being mined is also owned by Texas, and the General Land Office has control, leasing it out to mining companies like USA Rare Earth.
We've already done a bunch of piloting of all these processes. We're so confident in our data and our abilities to do it, we're accelerating right into it. So, yeah, it's been an exciting development.
While domestically mined and made magnets may initially cost more than those made in China, USA Rare Earth says that as the supply chain scales, cost will come down, an investment the Land Commissioner says America should get behind.
I'd say that it's worth it. Our energy independence, that elemental independence, being sure that our jets fly, that our missiles can fly, that our phones work, everything that we need to educate our children, it's important to go in and invest in America.
When it comes to production, mining wasn't slated to begin for roughly a decade, but now it's been expedited. Operations could begin in 2028, and USA Rare Earth says we could see these minerals that are in this rock in production and also in consumers' hands by early 2029.
That was Allie Bradley reporting from West Texas. In October, Chinese leaders called for new restrictions on exports of rare earth minerals mined in their country. That was on top of earlier restrictions that came in response to new U.S. tariffs on China. President Trump met with China's leader, Xi Jinping, in late October. The two leaders reached a temporary deal where China agreed to delay the proposed export restrictions for 1 year.
In a very partisan environment we're in right now in D.C., this was the most bipartisan bill passed by Congress during this Congress.
A bipartisan bill with one powerful goal: saving children's lives. How legislation advancing in Washington could unlock life-saving cancer treatments for children. And it's the last of its kind. Now there's new progress in the effort to restore the Battleship Texas. We'll take you on board to see the work and what comes next. Michaela Nayland died in October after a 5-year-long battle with a rare form of bone cancer. She was just 16 years old. Weeks before her death, Nayland traveled to Washington, D.C. to advocate for the Give Kids a Chance Act. The legislation aims to expand access to life-saving therapies for children battling rare diseases. Congressman Michael McCaul sponsored the act, which is now named in Nayland's honor. I spoke with the congressman about the legislation and why he believes it will help save young lives. You're the author of this bill. Tell our viewers, what will it do?
It does several things. One, most importantly, it reauthorizes the Creating Hope Act, which provided a market incentive for pharmaceutical companies to basically create and provide drug therapies for childhood cancer. When I started the caucus 16 years ago, there's little attention paid to the children. It was all about the adults. We tried to change that, and the Creating Hope Act actually led to the FDA approval of Dr. Allison's CAR-T immunotherapy at MD Anderson, which is a major cancer breakthrough. And it was this bill that we're reauthorizing that created the FDA approval process through this voucher program. That has saved so many lives now, not only children, but adults as well. Secondly, the bill also provides that children can receive multiple drug therapies that adults now can receive. So we're putting children on the same level of adults when it comes to multiple drug therapies. These things together, I think, will save a lot of children's lives in the future. It's really rare up here to be able to pass a bill that saves kids' lives, and this is one of them. We named it after Michaela McCaul, who I met at our annual summit in September. I got her into a clinical trial at Texas Children's and MD Anderson. Unfortunately, she passed away 3 weeks after that. And so we had her parents in the gallery, a lot of cancer survivors, children in the audience. It was a very heartwarming occasion. And best of all, in a very partisan environment we're in right now in D.C., this was the most bipartisan bill passed by Congress during this Congress, with 313 co-sponsors, and it passed unanimously.
You've been working at this for close to 2 decades. You mentioned 16 years ago starting this caucus. From your experience, why is it that we don't have as many treatments for pediatric cancer cases?
So that's a great question. When I started looking at this almost 2 decades ago, we didn't pay a lot of attention to the children because they call them rare orphan diseases, which I thought was really insulting to these children. They're not orphans and they're not rare. The disease is more rare though, and that was the problem. There was no market incentive for the drug companies to develop childhood cancer therapies. So what this reauthorization bill does, the Creating Hope Act, through this market incentive that we created with an FDA voucher system, it does incentivize the drug companies to come forward and do clinical trials. And since the inception of that program, We've had over 60 vouchers issued, and about 40 childhood cancer therapies have come out since the initial passage of that bill. What we did is reauthorize it for 5 more years, given the success of the program, which, as I mentioned earlier, led really to the Nobel Prize for Medicine awarded to Dr. Allison at MD Anderson using this voucher program. And it was actually a childhood cancer study that he developed the CAR-T immunotherapy for.
So this bill, it reauthorizes this incentive program for another 5 years. This is going to be one of your last acts as a congressman. You're retiring after this session. It reauthorizes it for 5 years. Do you think in that those 5 years will be in a better spot and be somewhere where you'll be happy with, where we are with treatments for pediatric cancers?
I do. I love the slogan at MD Anderson, making cancer history. It may not be in my lifetime, but I hope it's in these children's lifetime. And I do think 5 more years. It's already been hugely successful. And I think 5 more years will really solidify this program, but also, most importantly, it'll save so many lives of children. Michaela represents those who did not make it. The survivors have, and they still have many issues. Many of them were on the floor of the gallery. But, it's the ones that didn't make it that breaks my heart. But I have a lot of hope that we're going to have a lot more survivors of cancer now moving forward in the future.
The Michaela Nalen Give Kids a Chance Act cleared the House in early December, but a push to get a vote in the Senate failed just before the holiday break. Supporters hope to press for passage again when lawmakers return in January. Lawmakers approved millions of dollars to help save the Battleship Texas. Now we're getting an up-close look at the work.
Our goal is to make the ship as alive as possible, so as immersive as possible.
We take you on board the historic battleship to get a peek at the progress and a preview of what comes next. It's the only surviving battleship that served in both World War I and World War II. Now there's new progress on work to make sure the Battleship Texas stays afloat for decades to come. State lawmakers have approved tens of millions of dollars to restore the ship, which served on the front lines of history. On June 6, 1944, the battleship's guns were the first to fire on the Nazis as the Allies attacked the beaches of Normandy. Then, in the Pacific Theater, the ship supported the landings on Iwo Jima and Okinawa. After the war, Battleship Texas was designated a National Historic Landmark and became a tourist attraction at its berth at the San Jacinto Battleground site. But years of exposure to the elements took a toll, leaving the ship leaky and listing in dire need of extensive repairs. Now, the team leading those repairs says the battleship has been completely sealed from all leaks, a milestone in the restoration process. Daryl Matthews got on board and gives us a closer look at the work to save this historic ship.
At Gulf Copper in Galveston, you just don't see Battleship Texas. You feel it. The steel towers right over you. You can hear the welding filling the air. Several years in the making to completely restore an iconic piece of history, the Battleship Texas.
This ship is a microcosm of American society from 1914 really through today.
First launched in the early 1900s, this massive vessel served in both world wars, from the North Sea to Normandy and the Pacific. Meant to be a powerful naval weapon for sea control and providing essential naval gunfire support for sea invasions, the warship that bombarded beaches at D-Day will now be a walk-through preservation for education.
During World War II, all of these gun tubs, which are empty right now, there was anti-aircraft guns, so there was a constant swarm of activity on the ship, particularly during the later years of the ship's service life. We want the ship to be as alive as possible and to feel like it did, to the greatest generation, the guys who served on the ship.
I think it's very interesting, the history of the ship, and it's good to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself.
Since 2022, crews with Gulf Copper and the Battleship Texas Foundation have been cutting away corroded steel, building new flooring for decks, and keeping history in time. The goal for this $75 million restoration project, to make this ship strong enough to last another century for generations to admire and learn from.
Our goal is to make the ship as alive as possible, and as immersive as possible, so that when you step on the ship, you feel like it was like what a sailor felt when he stepped on the ship.
Officials say they hope to finish all the major repairs and open to the public by late 2026, early 2027. They say until then, every weld being made is bringing this Texas legend back to its return.
That was Daryl Matthews reporting from Galveston. The cost to restore the battleship is projected to cost $75 million. Some of the funding comes from federal grants and from money raised by the nonprofit Battleship Texas Foundation. But more than $60 million of the cost came from funds approved by state lawmakers. In 2022, some of those funds helped pay for the ship to be towed from its longtime berth at the San Jacinto Battleground State Historic Site. Hundreds of people watched on shore as several tugboats escorted the ship to a dry dock in Galveston. The move was a key step toward extensive restoration work. More money approved by the ledge paid for repairs to the ship's hull. And earlier this year, lawmakers approved an additional $7 million to finish work on the deck and other renovations. The foundation hopes to finish work late next year. After that, it will be moved to a wharf in Galveston and reopened to the public. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Dylan McKim. We'll be back here next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.